Good morning, everybody. This is Darshana Avila, somatic sex and intimacy coach and tantric body worker, and I am coming to you from what is the official start of the second week of Power to the P. This is the month of a mindful masturbation practice that I have committed to for myself and decided to share a bit about my journey in hopes that it might inspire and give some insight and permission to others who are following along. And today feels like a really humble day to sit here in front of my camera and speak to you. I've been a bit under the weather. I've had a cold that's been going around, and I thought that it was going to really quickly move through my system, but this is like my fifth day or something, and I'm just beat. I'm really, really tired. I've got an insane schedule. And so when I've considered self-pleasure practice, it's like, what do I even begin to do with that? I just don't have the juice. I'm not at all wanting any overt arousal in my body because I'm fatigued and depleted. And yet I'm feeling a lot of pressure, right? I've publicly committed to reporting about my experience. It's part of coursework for a training that I'm in to be engaged in this practice. So this morning was pretty confronting for me, to just bear witness to all these different streams of thought and conflicting ideas and energies in my system of what do I do? Do I have to make myself masturbate today? And it was almost comical, honestly, because that's so not the spirit of what this practice is about. This really is an invitation to feel at home in our own selves and learn the ways that we can find pleasure and joy and, yes, turn on and expand our ecstatic capacity. And so I decided from that place of just, okay, like let's get real with what we're doing here, right? I decided to take a bath, which is something that I don't often do in the mornings, almost never do in the mornings, but I'm kind of in that stage of the cold where like everything is sitting in like my chest and my mid back and upper back are all tight and it's like achy. It's not fun. So like, well, why don't I put myself into a nice hot bubble bath, and I sprinkled some thieves oil in, and I'm doing what I can to take care of myself, and I will see what arises for me there. And I got into the water, which was super steamy hot, and eased myself in and just kind of waited to see if inspiration was going to arise in any particular direction. And there was a lot of sounding and a lot of just kind of hitting the release valve over and over again to just discharge some of the stagnancy and the energy that's in my body right now, from this cold and just from feeling a bit overextended in life in general, because things are busy, blessedly so, and they're still busy. So yeah, there was movement happening, and then I went into like a lot of tapping, a lot of just like wanting to break up this tightness, this congestion in my body. But I carried that movement all down my torso. And every time my hand would go to my pussy, like it was kind of like, all right, yeah, I'm not feeling it. So I'd go somewhere else. I did breast massage for a while, felt good for a few minutes until it didn't. And so I was just kind of witnessing myself in this very fickle, kind of restless state. And then at some point, I felt like I had a few like jolts of energy, some kriyas, if that's a term you're familiar with from like a tantric or yogic background, where what I'm learning through the anatomy here is that is actually the dura, which is the tissue around the spine. It is loosening up and letting energy move through. And I experience this often, and it's usually very, very pleasurable, although at times it's a jolt. So it can be a little alarming or sometimes forceful. And like I had a jolt of energy, and then I rested back afterward. I was like, oh, I'm aroused right now, but in a very particular way and a very familiar way. It was a feeling of like, I could reach for a vibrator, turn on some porn, get myself off super quickly, move on and be done with it. very perfunctory. So it was like to come or not to come. And I immediately had a ton of judgment around that very like habituated pattern of masturbation that I knew for years. And I also then went into the, well, what actually serves my health right now? Do I want to be dispelling that kind of energy for my system? Should I keep my resource inward? And so I ended up in this whole to come or not to come inquiry with myself. All of this was happening in the bathtub. I did not have a vibrator nor my laptop nearby, so it wasn't going to happen immediately. But again, I'm just letting you know what was going on for me. And it was an interesting moment of being kind of caught in this web of feeling that I am accountable to you if you're listening along at whatever point in the present moment or the future moment that you hear this. I want to set a good example. And I also really want to be honest and vulnerable and human with you, that for all the more conscious self-pleasuring practices that I've done, and for all the different ways that I've cultivated my relationship to my sexuality, it is an unending process. And I don't say that to scare anybody. I'm holding that as something wonderful, that just when we feel like we're comfortable, there's always going to be a new layer to explore and to confront pieces of ourselves. And that really is a big part of what this is all about. Learning more of who we are and what we enjoy and how we move in the world, and letting that inform our relationships and be the source of inspiration and power as we navigate. So needless to say, here I am. I made it through some uncomfortable moments. I really then, after that whole mental exploration, went into some physical fatigue in a big way, and also sitting in the hot water, I just got really tired and I decided to just rest for a while, breathe, notice energy moving my body. I lay down on my bed on the nice cold sheets after I got out of the tub and just rested. And it's possible I might want to masturbate again today. It's only 9:15 in the morning where I am, but I also want to let this be enough and be really honest with you that this is what I'm considering my self-pleasure practice this morning, the time that I spent in this conscious inquiry with my breath, with my body, with my thoughts, with my emotions, and the fact that it's not all always perfect and it's not all always screaming orgasmic bliss. There's so very many ways that this can unfold. And that's what's happening here. So hope you're doing well with your journey. I hope to hear from you, and you will hear from me again. The next few days, I'm actually going to be at a conference, health dependent, which means I'm going to be staying in a hotel, and I'm going to have an even busier schedule than normal. And I don't know how my practice is going to go, so we shall find out together. All right. See you then. Bye.